elected Oregon State Representative Lucetta Elmer from District 24. Thank you for taking the time to join the show.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's so exciting because I've heard about you, and I think we've crossed paths a couple of times over the years here in McMinnville, various happenings. But for you to take that leap and that step is kind of like there's probably a lot of people who think, what would happen if I did? And you're one of those that we know who did. So congratulations. And how does it feel?
Thank you. I'm excited. It feels oddly peaceful.
Mm.
I'm very excited. I'm inspired, and I just feel ready. I'm ready to start.
Well, that's good. I like the fact that you're feeling peaceful. That is almost a
Yeah.
confirmation. Like you were ready and now you are. So when did you
Yes.
decide that you wanted to or needed to run for this office?
Um, when did I decide? It wasn't on my radar um, at all. My husband and I have several different small businesses that we've been involved in for decades now, and I was just, you know, knee deep in that. I mean, I was doing that and doing a lot of civic organizations and um, keeping very busy with family and business. But I think it would have been 2019. Ron Noble approached me and started talking to me about possibly following his footsteps, and it really did come out of the blue for me. But it was right after I had finished serving on the McMinnville Chamber of Commerce, and I served probably for 6 years, I think, but maybe more. And one of those I was the chair, and then 4 years I was on the exec team, and so I believe that's where Ron got his idea. There were some things that the city was going through, and the chamber was working with the city to resolve some things, and I was sort of in the midst of all of that. So he said he was thinking of potentially doing something else, and just doing his due diligence and maybe finding a replacement, and I was very flattered and really thought about it, but it wasn't the right time. We still had children at home, and it just seemed a little overwhelming. But then COVID hit in 2020, and things just sort of stopped for everyone. So I didn't, after a while, I just kind of stopped thinking about it. And I didn't hear anything else until last fall. I think it was October that Ron reached out again, and he said he'd made the decision to run for Congress. And he said, and I've already sort of nominated you. I said, well, what does that mean? And obviously I needed to decide if I wanted to do that or not. And so again, went through the whole process of really thinking and pondering and praying and talking to my family, and things just all seemed to fall into place. And I definitely felt a peace about and an excitement about adventuring on this journey. And so I said, yeah, I think this is the right time. So I announced that I was going to run for state rep in January, actually, of this year, and it's been a full year of campaigning and learning and asking Ron a lot of questions and just getting to understand my state government. And then, ended on November 8th with winning the state rep for District 24 nomination, um, and now here we go.
Well, you've done so much in so many years as an independent business owner, and it seems like you're always expanding. Just somebody full of ideas and not afraid to try things. So it doesn't surprise me that, given the leadership you've already exhibited, that Ron would pick you out. And it's interesting. The people I've talked to for this show, almost every one of them, if not every one of them, has had a similar story. Somebody approached them that wasn't on their radar. Um,
Yeah.
but did you get any help then once you made that initial agreement? Seems like that's kind of an unknown. A lot of people don't know how to run a campaign. Did people swoop in? What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing that happened was family and friends came around me and offered support and encouragement. Um, and you're right, definitely. You know, people that do this for the first time, it's. I don't think we know what we're doing necessarily. Um, Typically, you know, your political party, your caucus will interject and support you, and they did. They supported me, and so that was great. You know, that doesn't always happen. But I was happy to have their support. The Yamhill County Republicans as well offered support. But the caucus really, the Republican caucus did a great job in sort of onboarding what a candidate looks like, and sort of giving us a timeline, and just offering support all along the way. And they were able to connect me with people that served as my campaign team and helped me with just the whole process of what it looks like. So that I really appreciated. Obviously, I had Ron Noble as well to bounce ideas off of, and ask, am I doing this, you know, the right way, or is there a wrong way? I don't know.
Mm.
And so, you know, that was helpful too. But truly, just the community, friends, family. It was nice to see. It was just nice to see all of the support that I had early on.
For sure. So, have you made any initial contact? I realize we're coming up on the Christmas season, so there's a whole lot going on, and we're coming off of Thanksgiving. But have you made any initial contact with Salem, such as where is your office? Who is your support people? How do you get them? What committees could you join? Anything like that?
Sure, yeah. They really are a pretty organized group over there. And we had an orientation where all newbies, freshmen, legislators were invited, Republican, Democrat representatives and senators, to an orientation a couple weeks ago. And that was just wonderful. I mean, it was a lot. It's been a long time since I've sat for 8 hours in a school setting, which is what it felt like. But so much good information, but also just inspiring. You know, Peter Courtney is retiring this year, and he gave a really great just words of wisdom. We got to hear from leaders from both the House and the Senate, from both parties, and just sort of their tidbits of what they thought was important to take into this session. And it was all great. It was good things to hear. The Capitol is under extensive renovation right now. They're doing a lot of seismic upgrades to the Capitol. So unfortunately, the front entrance is completely closed, and it won't be open actually until after my term is over. So that's kind of um, needed, but you know, disappointing. So you enter the Capitol in a completely different way. They do have both the House and the Senate floors open, and our offices are open, so we are able to get into that area. But it will look a little different from any other time that legislators have been there during their term.
Pretty cool. Can't imagine. I feel like I'm going to have to go down there. I've visited people there before, but
Yeah,
just to kind of see what your space looks like. Your predecessor, Ron Noble,
yeah,
you
for
talked about
sure.
him a couple of times. He had a reputation for, or at least it seemed like, reaching across the aisle, trying to create legislation that was meaningful to not just Republicans, but is kind of broader. Does it look like you are could continue some of that aisle reaching, as it were, over the next 2 years? How does it look, or have you thought that far ahead?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think even in my candidacy, it showed that, you know, when my polls showed that I was always polling a higher percentage Democratic vote than the norm. And
Hmm.
working downtown McMinnville with my colleagues, you know, my friends, we didn't necessarily talk about, oh, what political party are you? It was
Right.
business, and it was survival. For example, during COVID, that was a definite survival in
Hmm.
banding together and helping each other out. But there's been lots of things in the community where we've had to work together as business owners to figure out solutions, whether it be the homeless crisis downtown, or issues with the mentally ill, or crime. So I have a lot of people that I consider friends. And when I announced that I was running, it was interesting because then it was a little more obvious in a political world that maybe we didn't subscribe to the same party. But at the end of the day, a lot of people said, it doesn't matter. We believe in you. We've worked with you. We enjoy your common sense. So I really appreciate that. And I understand that you have to be able to bridge that gap. You have to talk to people, find a common ground. And so I'm hopeful that in Salem it will be the same. I mean, I've had to work on building relationships. It's something I enjoy, and it's something that I want to be authentic with. But that will be key because Republicans are still going to be the minority. So it will be key to make sure that we can have our voice heard and just work on solutions for Oregon.
That's exciting. I appreciate you telling that story. My wife tells me that we Republicans or the Democrats no longer have a supermajority, and so that means
Correct.
that there's it might make things just a little bit easier to get along, and I'm not sure exactly what it means, to be honest with you, but maybe you can
Yeah,
tell us
we're
later.
not as outnumbered. We're not as
There you
outnumbered.
go.
So, yeah.
I'm excited about the platform that you ran on. You ran on no more
Mhm.
cost increases. How in the world can a person do that? I think it's great. It's important. Tough on crime, improving education by empowering parents. These are powerful statements. Empowering farmers, foresters, agriculture without the state getting in the way. Advocating for small business and protecting constitutional rights like the Second Amendment. All of those are awesome. And which of those do you want to look into, or you think you'll have an opportunity to look into first?
Yeah, good question. And that does seem like a daunting list
Oof.
to some extent, but it's true. Those are all things that I feel passionate about. You know, I grew up on a farm. I'm from District 24, a native Oregonian. I have a degree in education. I am a small business owner. So everything weaves into all of that, you know, and I do want to stand for all of those principles. We don't know what our committee assignments are yet. That's still in the works. We've been given, you know, the chance to voice what we're most interested in, and I've said business and education and crime, um, and so. But I also said, you know, I trust that you'll put me where you think I'm going to be the most useful, and I'm happy to serve in any role. So whatever it is, I hope to offer something and see some improvement. Um, but yeah, I do want to stand up for all of those things.
What are some of the concerns that Yamhill County residents have expressed to you to try to take care of once you are in Salem?
Um, there's definitely a handful, but I think
Mm,
specifically what I hear more than anything is the crime, and
mm,
that seems to two things. It seems to be on the rise, unfortunately. And I heard over and over when I was out door knocking and talking with my constituents that they didn't want McMinnville or Yamhill County to turn into anything remotely close to downtown Portland.
right.
And so I think that really needs to be looked at. I think that we need to make sure that we are supporting our law enforcement in a way that can provide safety for us. We talked a lot during the campaign about mental health issues, and that's not a crime to be mentally
Right.
ill. Ron Noble did a good job of bringing some dollars into our district um, to provide, you know, places for people to get the help they need, and that's going to be one part of it, but the other part is supporting our law enforcement and making sure that we're not soft on crime, and that we can set a tone that says, you know, we're loving, we're kind, we're gracious people here in this district, but there are rules, and those rules need to be followed so that we could ensure our safety.
Well, what's running through my mind is okay, we got state police, we've got county sheriffs, and we've got city. And I'm not quite sure, and maybe you're not either, how much Salem can help those entities do better at what they're doing, or maybe it's just more of a funding or a support, or maybe you come in and try to bring influence to the city. in their role in obtaining funding for city police in the various places in Yamhill County. Do you have a sense for that at all?
I think that funding is part of it for sure, so that they can staff adequately. But I also do think that, you know, in Oregon's case, I feel the current governor, has set a tone, and that has been one that has been softer on crime. Now, as legislators, we can do our part in trying to maybe have some stronger laws that can be out there, that then the police would have a few more tools to be able to use to clean things up. But there's more than just that. Then there's the judicial side, and we need to make sure that things are in place to where our district attorneys are keeping people that aren't safe on the streets, that they're not releasing them back to the streets. There's just a lot that's happened in Oregon that has made it has made it what it is, and we can do some things to turn that around. So we all have a
Well,
part to play in that.
for sure. I look forward to it. I'm sure it'll be a whole different conversation if we get to talk again a few months down the road. To what extent does God
Yeah.
play a role in what you do or what you're doing now and why you do it?
Well, I am definitely a strong person of faith, and I believe that God is my direction, and so from Him I have a deep sense of peace, and I think that definitely sets the tone of the directions in which I go and how I go about it. So we all are given, wonderful gifts and talents,
Mm,
and I think that knowing God allows you to lean into those and play them out to their fullest. So I'm thankful that I have this opportunity to represent us, and I want to do that in a very humble way, and I want to serve the district. But I do want to use the gifts of leadership that I feel I have, and
mm,
be a strong voice, and be able to do all I can to make a positive difference.
awesome. Well, I wish you Godspeed, and I'm going to be asking folks to be praying for you because a job like that is big, and there's potential attack from sources unknown or maybe direct in front of you. But I think it's going to go very well, and I think you're going to have a lot of blessings, and we support you. We appreciate you, and I certainly voted for you. Look forward to
Thank
hearing
you.
more from you over the years. Absolutely. And thank you once again for joining me today on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Do you know of a story that needs to be reported, a person who needs to be heard? Let me know and write to me at truthseekeroregon@gmail.com.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of these United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to my country I make my pledge to always love, protect, and defend her. And we the people across this land, one nation